Last March, the provincial government officially changed the name of the former Riverview lands in Coquitlam to Smekwaela, in recognition of the Coquitlam First Nations' claim to these lands as part of their ancestral territories. The renaming of these lands is another step forward in the process which saw KFN Enterprises and the provincial government jointly open Healing Spirit House in 2019. This facility houses 38 beds for teens who are struggling with mental health challenges. The opening of this facility was a significant event that was made that much more momentous by the gifting of a canoe from the Coquitlam First Nation to the peoples of British Columbia. While there was no other television media present at this event, Tri-Cities Community TV was there to capture the sights and sounds of the day. Also, more recently, we caught up with Andrea Alec, KFN's Chief Officer of Special Projects, who spoke to the significance of this project and the Riverview lands to the peoples of Coquitlam.
I think it's important to understand, first of all, that KFN has never left their lands. KFN has always been here. They have been here for generations and have resided here. We have, through this construction process, we have got some of the artifacts that have come back that have been carbon dated for 4,200 years old. So if that gives you an idea how long the Coquitlam people have been here and are in the process of asserting their Aboriginal rights and title to the Riverview lands, also known as Smekwaela. I think it's really important to recognize that the branding or refacing of the Riverview site known to the Coquitlam people as Smekwaela, which is place of the great blue heron, that was placed upon the Riverview lands by the Coquitlam people. And the name refers to a place of safety, a place of refuge, a place of the lands that they used to use and reside when it came to times of high water and when other warring communities came. This area was used specifically by the Coquitlam people for a place of refuge and safety. And the community had talked and discussed amongst themselves to place this name back on the Riverview lands, because we want to really take a look at, referring back to the past and what those lands were used for from the KFN perspective. A lot of times the general public, it really isn't aware of the history prior to Riverview, and that's what we really want to impress upon the community, the history, the rich history of the Coquitlam people on these lands. And that's one of our goals and our intentions with these educational series of workshops, the bilingual science up at Riverview. We want to be at the forefront in planning for the grounds up at Riverview, and I will refer to it as Smekwaela. We also really think that it's important to the surrounding community to also really be aware that, the forefathers of the city of Coquitlam, the city of Port Coquitlam, have came to this area and to this territory and had their own relationship with the Coquitlam people. And you take a look back in time and you look at history, and the forefathers of these cities used the name Coquitlam from the Coquitlam people, Chief William Coquitlam, and placed this name in recognition of the territory, the history of the people. And you really go back and you think about the significance of that relationship and what that relationship was. They recognized and acknowledged and respected the First Nations in the territory, enough so that they named their own cities after the Coquitlam. So I think looking forward into the future, we really want to impress upon the people this whole educational series, and Coquitlam be at the forefront in planning for the Riverview grounds. I can't impress upon in words how this monumentous time happened for Coquitlam. I think if you go back in time to history, you take a look at the colonial views, and they were times of dominance and imbalance. So when we talk about the canoe dedication ceremony, this ceremony was, we look back and think upon that day, what absolutely fantastic day it was. It was a beautiful day, a day of reckoning, a day of reemergence for culture, for spirituality. This day was one of the first times that we can recollect since remembered time that the Coquitlam people were allowed to be on their traditional grounds to do ceremonies since remembered time. And when we really think about that, and the power and the medicine that was there that day, the medicine of the drums, the singing and the honoring, my heart is just really excited and just so filled with emotion, because that day, we sang and we drummed, and when we did those ceremonies, that called upon the ancestors to come back and be with us that day, and smiling with us that day, and that pure joy and excitement that their people, the Coquitlam people, were once back again drumming and singing and celebrating on these lands that they were at one time prohibited to be on. So, I just get really excited and really happy, and looking at the future and what the future holds for that whole visioning process for these traditional grounds and sacred grounds for the people. And I was really happy to see a lot of the dignitaries present. And I think it's really important that the general public is also witnessing such an event, and to witness that their leaders and our leaders are together and working together to accomplish reconciliation, to work together towards a common goal, to recognize a lot of the historic pieces of not only just the site, the people, but recognizing Canada's history. I think by being present that day, it really showed the willingness to work together as one and going forward as one.
Amen sa Coquitlam, amen sa Coquitlam, at Coquitlam tamu, Pletsu, Natqua, Natsa siais, Tanawel seem, Nikos Conatus Ashton, qua Quelwin at the Wallop seem, I slip Ewin. On behalf of the family, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you here to the Coquitlam territory. They have good feelings in their heart for all of you coming to gather here today. They have something in their heart that they want to take care of today, some work that they're going to take care of. We're going to continue on with that work. Just before we begin, I want to explain for some of our visitors that may not be familiar with our Quelmuc ways, our Coast Salish ways. We're going to call a few witnesses. The witness watches the work that we do, they take it into their heart and minds, and in that sense they become a recorder of the work that's going to happen. And this is something that our old people, our ancestors handed down. Our Chwalmach Misteoch, we've been on this land for thousands of years. Jenny Sims, asking you to listen to the words and work that's going to take place. Simtalat, Chayet, Amejok, Saket, Chape, Salia, Major, Kewe, Laitwe, Quiz, Leo, Chape. For the sake of some of our visitors, the two women you see standing here, the families calling them up to lay cedar down to prepare the floor for some of the work that they want to do today. In our culture, the cedar is very sacred. It has a lot of meaning for our people. At one point in time, in some of our stories, Cedar was a human being, a very generous man who gave a lot to the people and his family. And we continue to draw from that strength today. Swallop, Slunslanai, Swallop, Aquatal, Insiatala, Equath, Thut Alap, Ikes, Yais, Equath, Quanat Alap, Pom Swallow, and Hides, I just want to thank you on behalf of the family for your good heart and your good mind, for laying down some good feelings for the work that's going to happen. Leave the Pasquala, Helam Art, Masteo, Amid, we will see Hyde said Eric, asking the drummers, come forward this time,
Back a little bit to help it back in. Okay. Okay. Good? I'm good. You ready?
But I see eyes turn away. I said, I want to thank you, dear drummers, for sharing your medicine today, helping to bring in this beautiful canoe. I just want to thank you, dear brothers, that helped to carry in the canoe, having that strength to carry it in. And thanking you for your patience out there and getting the job done today. On behalf of the family, we're ever so grateful. Heights efficacy. Ginny Sims, asking you to come forward at this time. Selena Robinson, Greg Steves, John Breckner, asking you to come forward at this time. Snugwash at Tuklalam. The Quickwichum Arch, Misteo, Slades Quas Armistice, Ashton, to Snugwash at Tuklalam. Haichwat Quathashwali, Lalam Arch, Siais, Misteo, ni Quas Siais Arch, Misteo, Ishwa Ahmed. Please, Twalakwa, Amists Ashton, Ike Swallow, and not Tuklalam, Ni Quans Natsamatst, Schwatlakwa, Ni Quans Natsamatst, Schwatlakwa, say, Hide Sek, Elwish, say, Hide Sek, the family you see standing here, the Queequeglam people, had it in their heart to give the canoe you see here to the family you see standing on the floor here. They want to gift the canoe as a sign of respect, as a sign of openness and working together. That this will lay down a path that they continue to all work together as one family. And our people traveled the highways of the rivers and oceans since time out of mind. And there's many teachings that go with the canoe. Our elders say that when you get in the canoe, some of you might be stronger, some of you might have a faster stroke, some of you might press down a little deeper in the water, but when you get in that canoe, you have to become one. You have to paddle together as one, working together. So sometimes you have to put some of your own self aside so that you become like one with those around you. And that's the intentions of our relatives here today in gifting this canoe, that it can be a way to become stronger working together, that this isn't just the end, but it's the beginning. And so that's the wishes of the family today. It's a part of the work that they wanted to express today. Hide Seb Ewish, Hide Seb Kasem, Kashwala, Holliston Art, Misteo, Amig Sab Kwewasem, Kashwala, Holliston Art, Misteo, Amig Sab Kwewal, Sinthat, King George Khan. So I'm going to use the board language here, calling forward the artists. We want to call forward the artists at this time. I apologize if you have a Pueblo Squeak, Deborah Sparrow, Jody Wilson, Cody LaRock, Johnny Lewis, Ocean Highland, Jody Broomfield, and Jordan Galley. Kashwala, Holliston Ott, Misteo, Amigs, Aquil, Sam, Hyde, Seth, Sam. Equasonatus Ashton for Ike Swallowed at Tuklalam, Niquas Thuts Ashton. The relatives you see standing here, they wanted to cover them with love and honor and respect them today. Please, Equus Ashton, at Tuklalam. They wanted to show everyone today the love and respect they have for the family you see standing here. They're all artists. They're all artists. And they created work that went into this facility, went into the grounds here. And the family wanted to recognize them today and honor them. Tashwalap Tilam Art Masteo Amid Sap Quewil Seam Leads Quas Sam Suan As calling forward the drummers at this time, asking you on behalf of the family to come back up, sing an honor song. What the old people say is you're going to call down the ancestors. You're going to call down the ancestors of all the people that are here today. And that calling down is the honoring of our relatives you see standing here. So we're asking the drummers to come forward this time, share your medicine. I said, dear brothers, for sharing your medicine, the medicine of the song and the drum. Haidset Kasim. Kukwalmuk Aksim. Haidset Evisim. You know, our Kwalmuk Ak people, our indigenous people, we suffered many things under colonization. The old people referred to it as the ships that sailed into our lands and waters. Many impacts that happened, and our people had many complex systems in place, systems of economy, of medicine, of philosophy, of politics. And what displaced much of that was disease. Our populations were decimated, and we became outnumbered and displaced on our own lands. And there's a lot of social problems that have come from that. Our people still suffer today. And there's a lot of information out there about it. We're so well studied, our people, by the Crown. But it's important to take it into your heart what happened to our people. It's part of what makes this more holistic, this work, understanding that the language was beat out of our family within a generation, the abuses that our people suffered. The last residential school only closed a short time ago. Some of my cousins that are a couple of years older than me attended some of those schools. And so the trauma, and I share this not to dim today, but I believe it makes it stronger when the understanding is there. Don't take this as a heavy feeling, but to understand the work of our relatives here, because we were made invisible on our own lands. And the work that they did here for this facility gifting to the provincial government, one of the agencies that inflicted harm on our people. That art that they do has a spirit, has a heart. There's a lot of love that they have in the work that they do. It's alive. And so to gift that here, in this of all places, it's a true healing, a true reconciliation. And so that's why the family wanted to cover our relatives here today, thanking them, raising their hands, thanking you for doing this, for not saying no. Can't thank you enough. Haid seb elishsem, haid seb kasem. Healing room, Equathani, Quelmusqueak at Quamquamuk. Aboriginal healing room, Quamquamuk. Sinthatqua, King George Pun. I'm going to borrow the language our old people called it the King George Pun. The family you see standing here, bestowing a name on this canoe today, this beautiful canoe, Haihut Kuthashwali, and it translates as healing spirit. And the same name is put on this building that we're in, and it translates as Healing Spirit House. Also, there is a healing room, a room in which programming ceremonies will take place, and the name they put on there is Quamquamuk. And that name means a place to gather strength. And so the family wanted to cover the canoe, this building, and that healing room with the name. Important, it anchors the work here through our language, through the land that this is on. And they want to call a few people forward just to gift you, to give you a handshake as a token of appreciation and recognition of the work today. These names, Del Demetrio, Mary Chisnernik, calling you forward. The family has a gift for you at this time to receive on behalf of your respective organizations.
On behalf of my cousins, you know the canoe is very important to our people, all the people that lived on the water. It was our vehicle to get to see our other relatives, where they lived, we traveled. Great distances, not just up and down the river, over to Vancouver Island, Couch, Snanago, Semanis, where I lived. Say what you do is a very important vehicle to our people, not just to travel, but to collect the resources to keep the nourishment for our people. The salmon, the ducks, the sturgeon, anything that lived in the river. They had different types of canoes. They had canoes for traveling, they had canoes for fishing, they had canoes for hunting. So our canoes are sacred to us. It's a pity to see how much we've lost. If you look at the old pictures, our reserves and beaches were just covered with canoes. They were invaluable. It was a real honor to work on this canoe. giving me this opportunity to share your ice cream.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart for including us today and for sharing your space with us. And for that, we thank you. This is a beautiful building, but it is only a building until the spirits walk through. And the art and the canoe and the blessings and the ceremony today has added and made this building into our home. And I read the story, saw the beautiful painting. Thank you to the artist for that. And then I read the words. And the words are all about protection, or all about looking after each other. And thank everybody who participated in the naming. Healing Spirit House. And when I think of those three words bring forward so many emotions. Time for healing. There are so many young people, those who are not so young, who are in need of a place where they can come and complete their journey of healing. Spirit. Because healing is not just about healing the body, it is about healing the spirit, it's about healing of the whole person. And a house, we know that what that personifies, that we're all in this together. Today I can tell you it was very moving and very emotional to watch the canoe being carried in. And I know that those people who carried the canoes, they enjoyed bearing the burden for those few minutes. It's a heavy canoe, but it has a lot of lifting to do. So for that, thank you. And on behalf of Premier Hogan and our government, we thank you for this amazing, amazing gift. My friend, you talked about the impact of the residential schools. And we must not shy away from talking about that. We cannot ignore it. We have to learn from it, and we have to heal. And I want to assure you that our government is committed to truth and reconciliation as well as the UN Declaration. And we are focused on developing a nation-to-nation relationship that is respectful and that honors the history and the land that you share with us. The canoe is symbolic. I'm a teacher. And the symbolism and the story I love about the canoe is that it moves us. It brings us together into one place, but that we have to paddle together in order to move forward. If we paddle against each other, the canoe does not travel very far. And my very good friend, Minister Melanie Mark, and many of you might know her, is always telling us, let's paddle together. And I've heard that message loud and clear from all of you. So for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I also want to say that Minister Katrina Conroy, whose ministry will be using this beautiful building that you have now made into a house, a home, by bringing so much love and history into this room. She really wanted to be here, but was not able to attend today. So, it was also very heartwarming to see so many young people in this room, hearing the stories, participating in the history, and learning. and to watch the little one here sitting on her grandfather's knee. She has learned a lot watching the canoe being built. She has learned about working together and healing together. And I want to leave us all with a shared wish, I hope, that this place, this blessed place today, where a canoe has been gifted and beautiful artwork and lots of positive energy and spirits, let's all make a commitment and a hope and a prayer that this place is a healing place, both for the body, for the mind, and the soul. Thank you so much for an amazing gift. Thank you. Thank you.
It's very moving to witness something like this, a gift from our neighbors and our friends, and to witness a building that is a healing building, and to have that all come together at one time and to be a witness to that is truly an honor. And so I want to say how honored I am to be here, to be part of that. What struck me today was having two languages spoken. Language that has been destroyed by colonization, and to hear its rhythm and to hear its sounds, even though I don't speak the language, really get a sense of a people. And so for me, I will let you know that in many ways that was the highlight. No offense to those who built the canoe, it was beautiful. But it's hearing a language that had been destroyed and hearing its life come back and knowing that there are so many people who are working hard to revive languages because it is the heart of a people. And I was really, truly touched to be part of a ceremony that was truly done in a language that is coming back. And when I think about reconciliation and what that means to have a vibrancy of a people that have been on the verge of destruction, and to hear the stories and to hear in the language and to hear and to feel and to see the traditions, it tells me that there's hope for the future, there's hope for the next generations, that we can all heal and move forward. So I want to thank my friend for sharing with us those words that I'm sure he studied hard to learn, and how important that was for all of us to hear those words. My colleague, Ginny Sims, said much of what I was going to say, so I won't reiterate that, but it's certainly been an honor, and I look forward to all the healing that will happen in this space. I look forward to a future where we hear more of those traditional words in the traditional language. So, thank you.
Dear friend, I want to thank you on behalf of the family for your words and for your beautiful sentiment. On behalf of the family, Hi Chiruka.
I am from Tsleil-Waututh, and I have worked with the Coquitlam people for the very beginning, for about 8 years when there was 4 people. And I didn't really count Chivu Council because they were part of the 4. But we've had a really long relationship and a really wonderful relationship, and to see them come from the very beginning with the previous, one of the previous chiefs here, that is Percy Cunningham, I'd like to acknowledge, and the chief and councils, to see them come from the very beginning to where they are today is truly heartwarming. Today is a real historical day for Coquitlam. Today is the very first day since remembered time that they have had ceremony on this land. The land they refer to as Smakwaala, a name that was placed on this by the Coquitlam people place of the Great Blue Heron. So today is history. History for the people that they are allowed back on these lands to do ceremony today. And that's why we call witnesses, to witness the work that happened today. And I'm very honored to be here, and I'm very proud to work hand in hand with everybody that saw this day come together, but all the people that worked with us during this journey through this process. So my hands really go up to each and every one of you. We worked really closely. I got to work really closely with a lot of the team from PCL, Torsen, Renee, Jason, and Les. They've worked tirelessly to help us to get where we are today, to ensure that the art was hung in a respectful way, and to the whole planning process in respecting our culture and respecting our processes that have to happen to get where we are today. So thank you for opening your hearts and your minds and working with us together on this project. So I thank you. I also really want to acknowledge and speak to the artists that are here today for answering the call and coming forward when I call them and ask them and talk to them about the pieces that are going to be here today. All the pieces that are here reflect the beauty of the people, the beauty of the land, what this building is going to represent, and specifically asked 2 young people, 2 youth to also contribute art because this building is for the youth. We want to continue to recognize, acknowledge, and respect and inspire our young people. You know, the pieces that we have are just really touched my heart when I got to meet with each and every one of them to tell them what this building is going to represent. And you can see the beauty of all the pieces that are in here are really going to provide that medicine and the strength for the young people that are going to be here, but not only them. For the people that are going to be working here, the people that are going to be supporting them, this medicine is for everybody. And I want you to recognize and acknowledge that where this building lies in the next building, this is Coquitlam. This is their house. This building is on their land. This is their home. And the work doesn't stop today for Del and Mary, all the other people that are going to be working in this building. It is now your responsibility to work with the Coquitlam people, to work with the elders, to understand the teachings of this community, the teachings of our Coast Salish people. You need to be calling on them for guidance and support to ensure that the good work keeps going forward, that we don't stop here after today. Each and every one of these pieces that you have here reflect the Great Blue Heron, the story of the Coquitlam people you'll see up here in the mural. So I'd ask that all of you read that story and understand the spirit that's here, the strength and the power. And I'm very honored to continue working here. I have a lot of love and respect for the community, and a lot of love and respect for all of you here that are here today that helped us to get where we are today. And thank you to the dignitaries that are here, and to Chief and Council for continuously allowing me to help them move forward. It is my honor to help them. And I'd like to thank the elders that shared the words with us prior to, the other speakers that shared some teachings with us, and the medicine of the drummers. All these things are critical for our people, for our teaching, and who we are. So I would just like to leave those words with you that as we go forward, like the speaker said, you know, we talk about the significance of the canoe, and that's the way we should be going forward each and every day up here. In one, as in unity, in love, and in respect. And I apologize if I've forgotten anybody, but I just wanted to share that with you, so thank you.
Thanks, Howard. Now, you sakit kwa I swallowing I just want to thank you, dear sister, on behalf of the family, for sharing your good, strong words and giving more understanding to this work as well. Hi, Chowis. Tashwalap, Kwikwo Ox, Misteo, Eats Siatala, New Nikwa, Thut Alap, Ait Snoayet, New Quinat Sap, Tsab, I quick Allowan, Schwallowan Siam, Hyde Sepka Siam. Again, I just want to thank all the speakers that got up and shared teachings, shared the good feelings on behalf of the family. Ever so grateful. Hyde Sepka Siam. Ta Schwallop na Aquetal, ni Hai, at the Siais, needs Hai, at the Siais. Echum quath eltni alap at latam seam, hide sep ewish seam, hide sepka. On behalf of the family, again, that's all the work that they wanted to do. It's siatala ni quath meestuch tsap qua ait schwallowen ish atmet ni quath huyanam alap at the Shnemesh. I want to thank all of you for being here and listening to the family, being here and bringing your good feelings to this work.
Reconciliation is important to all Canadians. Reconciliation means different things for different people, and I think first and foremost, I think Canadians really need to understand the history, Canada's history, when it comes to Indigenous peoples. We talk about the residential schools, and people really have this misunderstanding that they think that residential schools were, hundreds of years ago. Residential school was in my lifetime. I lived beside the residential school. My mother and father went to residential school. So if we put that in perspective, when Canadians always want to understand the timelines, that was just in my lifetime. I had friends that went to residential school. So when we talk about residential schools, we talk about the expropriation of land, the loss of culture, language. I think, there are lots of educational tools and resources out there for Canadians to educate themselves. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, UNDRIP. There's also, even Coquitlam themselves have really been planning and at the forefront of educating their neighbors. And with that, we have developed the KFN Heritage Certification Training Program that we provide on-site users up at the Riverview site. We also do a workshop series in regards to the environment. We are also providing in some of the buildings up there in the surrounding area, we are developing and currently developing a walk, and that walk is going to have pieces of the Coquitlam history. Some of it might be medicinal plant walks, some of them are historical pieces. So we're really working hard in trying to shed light on the history of the people and sharing those experiences with the public, with imagery as well as the planting. So we're really excited about the projects that we have that are coming forward. And if you, to the person who isn't really going to be aware, we have a lot of the crosswalks, the retaining walls replicate baskets from Coquitlam baskets from around 1905. So sharing those pieces of history within the site is really giving a rebirth to the Smakwa grounds, and it's a little small piece of sharing those pieces of history with the public that I'm really excited about, because not only are they beautiful pieces and a tribute to the Coquitlam people, but it also shares that experience and provides those educational pieces. The ocean-going canoe was carved from a 1,000-year-old cedar tree that the Coquitlam people received from the Alert Bay area. And I think if you look back at the history of the Coquitlam people, the people were resided by the Fraser River, on the banks of the Fraser River, and had views of the Coquitlam River, the Fraser River. So canoes to Indigenous people were a form of transportation. They were a way of life. And when we paddle in a canoe, in a single canoe, that canoe is navigated by one individual. But when you have an ocean-going canoe, it takes an entire team. That entire team of people, navigate that canoe together, going forward with one heart and one mind. So for the Coquitlam people to gift the canoe to the Healing Spirit House really resembles the relationship going forward, to go forward as one heart and one mind, and to battle together in the same direction, and to have that same vision, I think is really key when we talk about reconciliation, to go forward together, to take that journey together and be part of that journey together. The journey also reflects the past as well as the present, recognizing the past and going forward in the present, in the future, together as one. So I think it, to have that ocean-going canoe gifted is a really beautiful tool from our people, and it signifies so many beautiful messages going forward for not only just Coquitlam, but also for people who are receiving treatment, and those people, it signifies their journey going forward as well in the facility. So I think, going forward as an individual, but also sharing that journey with your families, with your facilitators, your counselors. So I think there isn't a more fitting symbol of reconciliation going forward than the ocean-going canoe. We really wanted to ensure that the facility and the site that is on is reflected in the name, and it's really important to know that the buildings, the two health buildings that have, one that has gone up now and the next one that's going to be on, is located on DHRQ 91, which is a known identified archaeology site. So, looking at the history of the Coquitlam people, we really wanted to ensure that the life and the history of the people were also reflected and taken into consideration when planning for that name. And going forward, we really want to also, part of the planning process want to ensure that there is now a positive healing legacy left behind, as opposed to, I know in the past there has been, to some individuals that have had history on the Riverview grounds that have not been positive and had negative experiences. We really wanted to change that that feeling and that thought, and to go forward and change that aspect to a place of healing, and to also leave that legacy, a positive legacy of healing going forward.